I want to start by giving you back something that was taken from you without your permission. Not your energy, not your motivation, not your productivity or your discipline or your drive. Those are symptoms. I want to give you back the correct name for what is actually happening inside your body right now. Because you have been operating under the wrong diagnosis for long enough that the wrong diagnosis has become part of how you see yourself. You have been calling it burnout. The self-improvement industry gave you that word, and with it came an entire treatment protocol. Rest more, journal more, set better boundaries, practice gratitude, optimize your morning routine, build better habits, try harder at trying less, and you did those things. Some of them helped temporarily, none of them held. And every time the protocol collapsed, you added the collapse to the growing internal file of evidence that something is fundamentally personally wrong with you. That file is built on the wrong diagnosis. What you are experiencing is not burnout. Burnout is a depletion of motivation and meaning. It responds to rest, to purpose recalibration, to restoration of agency. Burnout has a relatively clean recovery arc when you apply the right interventions. What you are experiencing is nervous system overload. A nervous system overload is a biological state that does not respond to motivation interventions because motivation is not the system that is broken. Let me show you the difference in the most practical terms possible. Your autonomic nervous system, the biological infrastructure running beneath every thought, every decision, every relationship, every moment of your day, operates across a spectrum. At one end is full regulation, safety, presence, access to your complete cognitive and emotional and creative capacity, the state from which sovereign decisions get made and genuine connection becomes possible and the future feels navigable. At the other end is full activation, survival mode. The state your system enters when it has detected enough accumulated threat, real or perceived, and that it redirects every available biological resource toward managing the danger and away from everything else. In survival mode, your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for long-term thinking, nuanced decision making, emotional regulation, and creative problem solving, goes partially offline. Not metaphorically, literally. The blood flow changes, the neural prioritization shifts, the biological architecture of your most sophisticated human capacities becomes less accessible because your system has decided sophistication is a luxury it cannot afford right now. This is why the morning routine collapsed. This is why the journaling stopped landing. This is why you can read every correct thing about how to recover and still find yourself unable to implement any of it. You were attempting to access capacities that your overloaded nervous system had temporarily taken offline. You were trying to motivate a system that needed to be rescued. Motivation requires a regulated baseline to draw from. Discipline requires safety to function inside. Willpower only exists in meaningful quantities when the survival system is not consuming everything available just to keep the circuit from blowing entirely. I look at this channel and I see the numbers clearly. On YouTube, 186 subscribers, 82,000 total views. On TikTok, 139 followers. On Rumble, the signal is just beginning. 25 people who took the first biological step, one who committed to the complete recalibration. That gap between tens of thousands of views and 25 people who moved is not a motivation gap. It is not a readiness gap. It is an overloaded nervous system encountering one more unfamiliar input and feeling it automatically under too much. The survival brain doesn't distinguish between a genuine external threat and a €19 investment in its own recalibration. It detects unfamiliar and reports danger. And from inside an overloaded system, danger means contract, conserve, stay exactly where you are. So, if you have been watching this channel for weeks or months and feeling the recognition in every video but finding yourself unable to move toward anything, that is not weakness. That is an overloaded circuit doing precisely what overloaded circuits do. Protecting itself from one more output by shutting down the impulse before it becomes action. Here is what recovery from nervous system overload actually requires. And this is the part that the Burnout protocol gets completely wrong. It does not begin with doing more of the right things. It does not begin with better habits or stronger discipline or a more optimized approach to rest. Those interventions all require the very capacities that the overloaded system has taken offline. They are asking the broken circuit to fix itself using the power it no longer has access to. Recovery begins with signal. One direct, biological, bottom-up signal to your nervous system that the survival protocol can begin to stand down. Not a thought about safety, not an affirmation of safety, a felt, somatic, nervous system level signal that registers as safety in the body before the mind has a chance to negotiate it into something more complicated. That is the entire architecture of the 1-minute mirror reset. Not motivation, not information, not a framework to implement when you find the energy. 1 minute of direct biological signal to a system that has forgotten what baseline feels like. One breath of a nervous system remembering that regulation is available even inside the overload. The full mirror practice builds the complete recovery architecture from that signal outward. It is the protocol specifically designed for a nervous system that has been running a survival script long enough to mistake the activation for its natural state. It takes the single breath of the reset and the constructs around it, a stable, sovereign, internal baseline that doesn't require constant maintenance because it becomes the new home frequency rather than an occasional visitor. 25 people have sent the first signal. One has rebuilt the entire baseline. You don't need more motivation, soul. You don't need a better morning routine or a stricter discipline protocol or another framework for pushing through the resistance. You need one thing that speaks directly to the biology running beneath all of those strategies. One signal that reaches the part of you that has been in survival mode long enough to forget it had another option. The reset is free, it is in the bio. The full practice is €19. Stop trying to motivate the overload into recovery. Send it a signal instead. Drop signal in the comments if this is the video your nervous system needed today. I am Tudor. I stopped motivating the survival state and thus I started rescuing it. I'll see you inside.